Writers Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman were roommates who often collaborated together on illustrations. One day, Kevin drew a masked turtle brandishing nunchucks to make Peter laugh. Peter, amused by the idea, added the words teenage and mutant. Together, they began to create a comic that parodied elements of popular superhero comics, especially the X-Men and Daredevil. In 1984, their work was published as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael, and the rest was history. In 1987, Playmate Toys decided to make action figures out of the popular comic book characters, and an animated show was aired to promote the sale of the toys. The animated show was an instant hit, and today we're looking at a chaotic antagonist that our favorite turtles went up against in that show. We're ready to jump in, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. What is Wyrm? Wyrm is a fourth-dimensional creator of chaos who, along with two other reality-bending creatures like him, was imprisoned in a hypercube and scattered across the universe. He's a weird-looking creature that borrows features from flatworms and reptiles. This blue-skinned creature has bulging eyes that come out of the top of his head, and they're a sharp and contrasting shade of red. The size of his head is huge, almost double compared to his lower body, and it houses expressive eyebrows. He has pinkish-purple gums, and his upper teeth differ a lot from his lower teeth. His upper teeth are spread evenly apart and are wide and flat like human incisors. Some of them have noticeable chips, while his lower teeth are sharp and thorn-like. He has more lower teeth than upper teeth, and his upper lip appears to be a bit swollen and blue, similar to his skin, but his lower lip appears to be flowy and pink. It's just his appearance, though, as that's his skin. The creature's feet are mismatched. While his left foot seems to be normal, with a red boot covering it, his right foot resembles the tail of a snake. It's yellowish and spotted, and Wyrm brandishes it like a tentacle. He can expand it and thus wield it as a weapon. Despite being trapped in a hypercube for God knows how long, Wyrm appears to have a sharp sense of style. He wears red gloves that match his red boot and a green suit. The suit is a good blend of dark and light green with a thick yellow collar, perfect for space travel. We don't know what events led to the capture of Wyrm and his eventual imprisonment in the hypercube, but there's only one way he can break out of the cube: by fulfilling the wishes of a group. There are 3 rules for the wishes. The first is that the group should share the wishes among them, which means that no one member can hog all of the wishes. The second rule, in classic genie fashion, is that you can't wish for more wishes. And the last rule is that you can't wish to hurt Wyrm. Come to think of it, this guy does have a lot of similarities with a genie. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Wyrm. Well, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Company, which consisted of the Fugitoid, the robot with a human mind, Casey Jones, the teen vigilante, and his girlfriend, April O'Neil, were in outer space. They received a distress signal from a nearby ship. They started examining the ship and found that it was abandoned and had a huge hole that seemed to be the result of an explosion from the inside. Raphael and Fugitoid started to come up with theories when April tells them that she has a bad feeling about the ship. Meanwhile, Casey barges in, telling everyone that the ship was boring and he wished things would get more interesting. We see a blue glow on the back of Casey's helmet, which should tell you that Wyrm heard the wish. Unaware of the trickster looming nearby, the turtles decide to search the wreckage for any survivors, and amidst the wreckage, Casey finds a hypercube, a key to the 5th dimension. As soon as he touches it, he and his friends are surrounded by zombies, but it's not much of a threat as they fight them all off. Casey becomes fixated on the cube and refuses to give it up even when the Fugitoid asks him for it, but it's plucked away from him and locked up. While the turtles are distracted by a cartoon show, Casey gets his hands on the cube again and opens it, which releases the grotesque and powerful Wyrm. Wyrm pretends to be a spreader of joy and tells him that he's going to fulfill any 2 of their wishes, as Casey already asked for the Astro Zombies by wishing for things to be more entertaining. Excited, Casey makes a long, winding, self-centered wish, but before he can finish, Donatello blurts out that he wishes Casey wasn't such a bird brain. So he gets his wish granted, and Casey becomes a smart, hyper-intelligent, and well-spoken being. For the next wish, the turtles decide to take their time and decide on a really good one. Wyrm is disappointed by this and traps their ship both inside and outside the hypercube. The Fugitoid immediately clocks the creature as one of the 3 legendary creatures of chaos and warns the others not to make a third wish, as that would free the Wyrm. As Wyrm increases his antics in terrorizing the turtles, Raphael gets so angry and frustrated that he wishes he had a weapon that could kill the creature. Raphael gets his wish, but due to Wyrm's rules, the weapon is useless. Wyrm, however, is freed, and to celebrate his freedom, he begins killing entire planets and stars. Casey tells the turtles that due to his intelligence, he can tell that there's no way to defeat Wyrm, and the only good decision now would be to join him in global domination. Wyrm is glad to hear this and enthusiastically offers his new ally a wish. To his horror, Casey wishes that things would go back to the time before they found the hypercube, thus trapping Wyrm back in his cage. Time reverses, and the turtles and their friends once more find themselves on the abandoned ship, but this time, April gets a strong sense of deja vu and tells them that they need to return. All Wyrm can do is mourn the loss of his liberation. Personality and powers of Wyrm. Wyrm is sadistic and unpredictable, but can put on a charismatic front. He only puts this act on to get what he wants, and as soon as things get shaky for him, the facade breaks and his true identity comes to the forefront. Wyrm is also smart and knows how to get things done or frustrate someone to the point that they make an earnest wish. He's able to shapeshift and take on the physical appearance of any being or object, disregarding the laws of physics. His powers also include the ability to induce visual and auditory hallucinations and trap his enemies in their heads. His biggest weakness is that he's extremely trustworthy and naively believes anyone expressing their allyship, just as he did with Casey. The Multiverse of Chaos Creatures. Wyrm debuted in the 81st episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles titled The Weird World of Wyrm on November 8, 2015. It was written by Randolph Hurd and directed by Sebastian Montez. The episode was inspired by and almost a direct copy of the plot of the episode Meet the Wigglenog from the animated show Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. The producer of Meet the Wigglenog, Brandon Auman, also produced this episode. Wyrm is even inspired by Wigglenog, a green alien creature whose head resembles the shape of an onion bulb with sharp ears and a curvy beard. Just like in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first three wishes are some excitement, intelligence, and an anti-creature weapon that doesn't work, and much like Casey, Otto outsmarts the creature in Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. While the Fugitoid, or Professor Zayton Honeycutt, is explaining the three creatures of chaos, you can see a holographic projection of Wigglenog pop up, indicating that he is one of the three. The third one, an amoeboid creature, remains a mystery. Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go isn't the only show that inspired Wyrm, as you can also find traces of his character in Mr. Miggs's Pitalik, a reality-bending imp and foe of Superman in DC Comics. Dwight Schultz, the voice of Wyrm, also voices Mr. Miggs's Pitalik in Superman Returns, the video game. The ending of the episode also mirrors the ending of the 1997 dark fantasy flick Wishmaster, directed by Robert Kurtzman, where the protagonists wish to reverse something to undo the chain of events that led them to their failure against a djinn and re-trapping him. As we said previously, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a huge allegory to the more famous DC and Marvel comics as well as other sci-fi shows. The show is chock full of internal and external references if you're inclined to look. For instance, Wyrm claims that he's the most powerful worm in 10 dimensions, which is a reference to the 43rd episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles called Neutralized, where Neutralizer, the salamandrian bounty hunter, claimed that there are 10 known dimensions. So, in a way, Wyrm is cementing the TMNT lore. The Hypercube, said to be a fifth-dimensional prison, looks an awful lot like a Tesseract, the four-dimensional cube that you see in Marvel Comics. The Tesseract plays a major role in the MCU and is the MacGuffin for more than one movie, as it holds one of the 6 Infinity Stones, the Space Stone. There is also a Doctor Who reference in this episode for all the Whovians out there. David Tennant, who portrayed the 10th Doctor, voices Professor Honeycutt, and the Fugitoid's ship, Ulysses, is much larger on the inside than it looks on the outside, just like the time-traveling Doctor's TARDIS, which looks like a tiny police box from the outside. The very different version of Wyrm. Wyrm's comic book version and origin tale are very different from his adventure in the animated show. Wyrm was created around the same time as the animated show began in 1987 by Ryan Brown for the bi-monthly comic book series Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In the original concept, Wyrm was an antagonistic mutate leech inspired by the 1959 movie Attack of the Giant Leeches. Though Wyrm was created in 1987, he didn't debut until 1990, where he appeared in the Archie comic universe. Wyrm wasn't an extra-dimensional creature and was a flatworm mutated by toxic waste. He had the ability to divide into different mini-worms and allied with Scumbag. Playmates soon released a toy in his honor, but Wyrm's avatar was inspired more by the Toxic Crusaders than the flatworm it was originally based on. The toy had a movable jaw which spat out worms if it was opened, and came with a mallet, a porcupounder, a worm knife, and a worm belt. Since the toy wasn't so popular, Wyrm didn't make an appearance in the 1987 animated show, but debuted in the 2012 reboot where they took a brand new approach to the character. Marvelous verdict! Don't be fooled by Wyrm's quirky, weird looks, as he's much more sinister than he appears. What would your 3 wishes to Wyrm be if your world was safeguarded once Wyrm was free? Drop your answers in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and hit that bell icon to never miss an update from Marvelous Videos. We'll soon be back with more awesome and thought-provoking content, but until then, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.